Hello, welcome to our webinar. My name is Alison. I'm co-founder and CMO of Backfire. I have found most of you are like some old users based on the event subscription list, and some I believe are brand new users to our platform. It's a pleasure to have you, all of you, here at this webinar. As you may know, Backfire is a low-code backend platform that I, along with my co-founders George and Davi, have created to build a better web and mobile applications faster. Because it was a problem that we ourselves experienced when developing many digital products on our previous company. And today we have about 5,000 companies using Backfire with more than 200,000 developers on the platform. Okay, I would first like to introduce our panelists. We have here Alex, who is our architect and also the face of our YouTube channel, as some of you may know. We have also Charles with us here, our customer success manager. And just to clarify, this is Ask Us Anything event. We are going to start, Alex is going to start presenting some key features of Backfire and showing you guys some of our new resources. And then we are going to dive into a second moment where we're going to answer your questions. So please feel free to share your question here at this button here down below on the Q&A button. And if you'd like to share your experience using Backfire or make the question in a live with a video and audio, you can raise your hand and I will let you talk and ask Alex here, okay? Alex is going to answer as many as possible because we have a limited time. And yeah, I think that's it for introduction, right? So I will let you guys with Alex right now. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Hello. I'm Alex. I'm the architect for Backfire. And if I'm looking that way, is because my second monitor is right there. So this is why most of the times I'm looking away from my camera and my main monitor. And well, I'm really happy to see so many people joined us today on the webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. It really makes a lot of excitement for us to having you all together. It's the first time we do something like this and the responses has been amazing. So thank you everyone for joining. So I assume a few of you are new users to Backfire and a few of you are more experienced users. So I'll try to start very basic today. And if you have any questions, please leave it as Alison said. More complex questions that we cannot answer today, I will contact you individually later, and we will answer all the questions. We always answer all the questions, and this is one of the main selling points of Backfire. We are known for our very good customer support. You can Google for it. Everyone loves using our platform, especially because of our good customer support. And to show you today, I created this new app here. I called it Presentation. It's an empty app, so every time you create a new app in Backfire, it will end up in this screen. This is what we call the dashboard. And here on the left side, you'll find all the resources that we offer, and on the right side, a detailed view of those resources. And this is very familiar to most of users because it looks like a spreadsheet. So it's very easy to get used to this interface. And the first feature you're going to see today is what we call the database browser. It is where you're going to store your classes and objects, and parse for convenience creates two classes for us to make it easier for us to develop, because it's very common to use those classes in cloud-based applications. The first one is the user class, so you can create and manage your end users of your application. And the second one is the role class, so you can group together users with similar privileges. So
Alex, but
it makes
can
it
see your,
much easier. I'm sorry, someone said something.
sorry, but we can see your screen just to share your screen.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. Let me try to show it once again. I have a window share screen again. There we go. All right, please tell me when you can see it.
Yeah, now I can see it.
All right, sorry for that, guys. First time doing this, so some misups are expected. Let me open my Q&A window again. All right, so I'm sorry for that. I'm going to start again. So this is an empty application. It's called presentation. I just created this. And this is what you are going to see when you create a empty app in Backfire. So here on the left side, we have the resources that we offer. And on the right side, we have a detailed view of those resources. And as I said, the first one you're going to see today is the database browser. And these are the classes that I was telling you guys about. The user class, so you can create and manage your users, and the role class, so you can group together users with similar privileges, which makes it much easier to maintain over time, because instead of giving permissions or removing permissions in a per user basis, you can add or remove permissions to a role, and all the users inside that role will be affected. So to create a new class graphically, you can click this create a class button here, give it a good name. So I'm going to call this one person. And here is something that you have to choose. If it's going to be a protected class and you have to authenticate to have access to it, so every time you need to read data, to write data, you have to be authenticated. Or if it's going to be a public class, and in this case, you have access to it without authentication. And when does it make sense to use each one? So every time you have any kind of data that is related to an user and to that user only, it should be a protected class. This makes sense because other users cannot see the information of that one user. But there are a few use cases where you want every user to be able to read the information inside that class without having to authenticate. A very common use case for this is if you have a list of cities, for instance, in your create account screen, and the user must first to choose one of those cities, and the user does not have a account at this point. So, but they still need to see this information. So that would make sense to create a public class. In this tutorial today, I'll be using only public classes because I don't want to have to authenticate every time we do a query or something like that. So I'll be creating these classes as are public, but keep in mind you want to create it protected every time you have to uh, separate information from this one specific user from the other ones. And here also we have a few class templates that are very usual to web and internet-based applications. So for instance, we have the installation class, which is every single installation on the device that you can use for push notifications. You can have the product class, which is used mostly for commerce applications, and custom class, which is a class that you choose how to create. And then you can click create class. And my person class showed up here with a few properties already set. And this is where the magic of Backfire starts to happen, because from this moment on, when I just created this class, it already got published um, API endpoints for creating, reading, updating, and deleting objects inside this class, so you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is call those APIs and you're good to go. And also GraphQL endpoints for all the operations, queries, and mutations that you need. So we got you covered. You don't have to write a single line of code to start using and calling the services inside this class. And also we have a few properties already set. the object ID, which is unique per object inside this application. So you can use it kind of a primary key for those of you who comes from the SQL world. And update that and create that are timestamps. Those are automatically created and populated by parse. And from that moment on, it's automatically updated as well. So if you need to order your records in a order of who was created first or last updated first, all you have to do is use those columns. You don't have to write any logic to update these values. It's done automatically for you. And then we have something very, very important, which is the ACL. ACL stands for Access Control List, and it is the ability for a user or a role to write or read a specific record inside this class. So if you have multiple records inside the class and you want a specific user to be able or not to be able to read or write a specific record, ACL is the way to go. So the granularity of security in Backfire app goes as deep as the object level. But we have a superior level as well, which we call class level permissions or CLPs. CLPs are located here in the security menu and class level permission. And this is the ability for a user or a role to read or write the whole class. And this is resolved first. So if a user has access to a certain class, then it will evaluate the ACLs. But if the user does not have access to the class level, then the ACL won't be even considered. The user has not access, it stops right there. So these are two security measures that you must ensure you're following correctly in order to secure your application. And we have a full tutorial on our docs section in Backfire explaining how to get your application 100% secure. But also today, during this webinar, I'm going to show you how you can ensure your app is being developed with security focus at first. So if I want to add new properties to this person class, all I have to do is click this add a new column button. Here are the data types that you can choose from. Basically, anything that is JSON encodable can be stored as a property. So I'm going to choose a string and call it name. You can define a default value in here as well. And if I click add column, my name as a string is showed up there. And also I'm going to add a number and call it age, and also add a column, and my age as a number showed up there. And this is another way that Backfire helps you save time when developing your application, because all the data validations are made automatically by us. So to illustrate that, I'm going to add a new row, and I'm going to type my name here. So Alex, which is a string, so it allowed me to enter it. But here on the age, it's expecting a number. What does it happen if I try to write some letters in there? So I'm typing letters and it won't allow me to because it's expecting a number. So it does not make sense to allow letters in there. But if I put my age, 40, now it will allow me. And this is done for all the SDKs, for all the APIs, for all GraphQL queries and mutations, and from the dashboard as well. So we got your data sanitized from the very beginning, as long as it's about data types. We can also help you with more complex logics, but I'll get there in a second. If I click add, my new record is created and I can now query on it. Let's add another one. So let's put here Allison, which is 41. Click add, and now I have two records inside this class. And something really cool that we do is that we support relational data, even though we do not use a relational database on our backend. To illustrate that, I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call this class dog. It will be also a public class for this presentation only, because I don't want to have to authenticate every time. But remember, you must choose correctly between protected and public. So create class, and every dog will have a name, which will be a string. And also, I want every dog to have a owner, but only one owner. We do that by adding a new type of column called pointer. Pointer is how we relate data in Backfire. As soon as I choose the pointer data type, it will ask me for a target class where I'm going to choose my person class. Give it a good name. I'm going to call this owner, add column, and my owner showed up here as a pointer to the person class. And now let's add some dogs. I'm going to add Fido and Rex. There you go. Now I have two dogs. I must select two owners for them. All I have to do is go to the person class, and if you remember, I said the object ID is unique per object inside the database, so you can use this information to relate data. So I'm going to select this one, which is for Allison, copy it, pressing Ctrl+C, go back to the dog class, and give it to Rex. And now I'm going to do the same for the other dog. Copy the object ID from Alex and paste it in there. Now, if you notice, the data type of the pointer is slightly different from these ones. It has this little arrow here. So from the dog class, if I want to know the owner of Rex, all I have to do is click here, and it will bring me to the person class telling that Allison is the owner. So this data is now related, and I can query on it even in whatever method I choose to query. SDKs, GraphQL calls, REST API calls, you name it. All right. And for those of you who need to have unquestionable proof that a record was created at that point in time containing that exact data, for instance, if you have a selling application, or perhaps if you have a banking application and you need to ensure and prove to your end user that the record was created that way, we have something really cool, which is the blockchain feature. The blockchain feature will allow you to save data to a Ethereum-based network that we host here in Backfire. So it's not the real Ethereum network, it's a Ethereum test network that we run, that will allow you to save objects to it and ensure unquestionably that the record was created at that time with that data. And all you have to do to have this enabled is come here to the blockchain, choose the class that you want, let's say dog, click add selected class to blockchain. This takes a couple of seconds. Now the dog class is in the blockchain, and from now on, every single dog that I create will also be persisted to the blockchain. And every time I change a dog's data, we will also be persisted to the blockchain. So at any point from now on, I can have unquestionable proof that the record was created that way. So if you have, for instance, a game where you sell rare items, you can use this feature to ensure a item is perhaps unique, or perhaps it belongs to a certain user and no other user. So it's very, very, very powerful feature to use with your application. And one of the most powerful parts of Backfire app is what we call Cloud Code. Cloud Code is Node.js code that runs from inside Backfire app's infrastructure instead of your devices. And there are many, many benefits when you deliver your business logic to our servers instead of your device. First, because you don't have to actually implement the SDKs in here. The SDKs are embedded, and we also have a lot of NPM modules attached to it. So you can produce code that runs much faster and does not consume API requests. Every time you execute queries or insertions or any kind of code from Cloud Code, it will not consume your API calls. And also from here, you can create Express.js routes to have any kind of predetermined behaviors that you want inside your app. So this is very, very flexible and very, very customizable. And as I said, it's also compatible with NPM modules. So for those of you who are not familiar with NPM modules, if you go to npmjs.com, in here you can find lots of packages for Node.js that does a lot of stuff. So perhaps you want to, let's say, parse a part of a file or upload to SFTP servers or do pretty much whatever you need to. So instead of writing code yourself, all you have to do is come here, find a module that does whatever you need to do, deploy those modules to Backfire app, and consume the code from your Cloud Code. And all code that you publish to Cloud Code is automatically scalable, secure, and failure tolerant because it relies on our infrastructure, which is scalable, failure tolerant, and secure by design. So you don't have to worry yourself about protecting your application too much because we do that for you. Also, if you have one of our dedicated plans, we can scale up as much as you need to reach your end customers. We have some huge applications running in Backfire app. So whatever is the number of end users that you want to achieve, we can handle it. Something that we also do is what we call a cloud job. A cloud job is exactly the same thing as a cloud code function, but you can schedule the run for those. So if you have any slow going process that you need to do, let's say very complex computation that you need to do, or perhaps you have a data sanitization that must run from time to time, you can create it as a cloud job and execute it from time to time. You can schedule the execution. It will run automatically for you and give you a report here on job status so you can see if it's running well, if it's failing for some reason, and then correct it. And this is very useful also because you can schedule the run or call it manually if you need to. And also to help you develop your app, we have a few APIs. If you click the API menu here, you find all the frameworks in here that are officially supported. So if you click one of these icons, it will bring you to the documentation on how to install that framework, that SDK. But here on the console, we have three consoles to help you build your app. The first one is the REST API console, which makes REST API calls. So if you need, for instance, to impersonate a user, to query a user, or to write your queries from here, oops, my camera turned off, you can do that. But something really, really, really nice that a lot of people are using lately is our GraphQL console. If you click GraphQL there, it will open up a fully working GraphQL console where you'll find the documentation created for all your classes, including the classes that you manually generate. So if you scroll down here, you'll find the create dog, update dog, delete dog, which is a class that I created. And also the schemas for all your classes, including the classes that you manually generated, that you can download and integrate to your projects. And also from here, you can rely on autocomplete to write your queries and mutations. And once they are working from here, you can just copy this code and paste inside your project, and it will just work. So to illustrate that, let's start a query. So query, then we have, let's look for dogs. Then edges, the node, and let's retrieve only the name of those dogs, all right? If I run this, oops, got some kind of error here, perhaps. Oops, let me try to reload it. These things happens in live events, right? There we go, Fido and Rex. But from the dog class, I can also bring the owner. Now, if you notice that there is a small red mark here, because owner is a pointer to another class, so I must specify which data from that class I need to retrieve. So let's open brackets, and from here, let's get the name of that owner. If I run this again, I'll see that Fido belongs to Alex and Rex belongs to Allison. And all this querying two distinct classes, which could be 30 or 50 or you name it, number of classes, made just one API request to the backend. So this is a huge way for you to save API calls, and also is very, very efficient because once you got your query written, the backend will handle everything. You really should try to use GraphQL if you can, because it's just awesome. And then last but not least, we have the JavaScript console. So if you need to write JavaScript code, you can use the console here. And you don't even need to have a IDE to start developing. You can start from right here. Something really cool that we have that most people don't know of is the API reference. If you click this button, and if you're new to Backfire and you don't know anything about our SDKs, but you know at least one programming language, we can still help you. So in here, you'll find all my classes in here. So my person class is there, my dog class is here as well. And this will automatically generate code for you in the 7 most common programming languages in Backfire. So let's say I want to operate the person class. I just click here. It will create methods for creating, reading, updating, and deleting objects. So let's try to create a new person. If I click creating objects, here I can choose the programming language that I know. Let's say I'm working with JavaScript. So it will read through the schemas of my classes and generate code in that language that just works. So in JavaScript, for instance, you see that it's instantiating the person class. It's setting the name property, which it read through the schema, as a string. So it automatically populated the string property as a string. Then the age property, which is a number, is also populated as a number. Then made a try-catch block where it's going to try to asynchronously save this new object. And if it had some error, it's going to print that error for me. So this reflects the classes in real time. So if I go back there and change the class, let's say add a property or remove a property, it will reflect in here in real time. So all you have to do is create the classes the way you need to, and come here, choose your language, copy the code, paste inside your project, and it will just work. This is a huge time saver because the learning curve gets so easy. It gets code done automatically for you. Let me close this. And I want to show you something that's quite new, but it's very important as well. So if you're creating your application right now, you end up in this screen where you're going to see all the applications that I have access to. In this case, I'm using the presentation app. And there is this button here, app status. This will collect data and statistics on your application. So let's click this. And here you'll see my average response time, how's the health status of my application, if I'm having server errors or client errors or successful requests. Here you will see the average request time for my HTTP calls. So I have the HTTP status code in there and how many requests I'm doing with that code. If I have any problems, it will also show up here. And you can group together in the time frame that you want. Also from here, there is the security tab, and this is a very, very important tab. We have some logics in our servers that will read through your application and see potential security aspects that you must check. This will check a lot of things inside your app, from the access control lists implementation to class level permission implementations, all your classes, if they are protected or not, and it will give it a full report and so many other things as well that you have to check one by one if it makes sense for you to leave it that way or not. And it will help you protect your application in the best way possible. So for instance, in this case, as I created my classes as public, you can see that any client can count on the person class. So if I want to change this, I have to go back to my person class and change my ACLs and CLPs, so this won't be open to anyone. And also from here, we have the logs. This will show the containers logs of your app. So if your app is misbehaving or perhaps crashing, this is a very good place for you to start and see what's happening. It will help you debug because it's the container level log of your application. Perhaps you installed a npm module that's breaking your application. It will all show up here. Also from here, you can restart your app. Let's say your app hangs for some reason or enter a infinite loop situation. You can restart it from here in all the application servers at once. And if you still are having problems from here, you can open a ticket to our support team directly from here. So it's very, very easy to do. We have so many SDKs in so many language, guys. Practically any language that you need to write your application in, we cover with our SDKs. But if in the reason that you don't find a SDK for that, we still got you covered through the REST API calls and GraphQL calls. So we can serve most of you guys. We support different data types, such as files. You can host your files with us, including with CDN support. So if you deliver media content to your end users, let's say videos or music files, we can accelerate the delivery for those files to your end users. We have data centers all around the world, so we can host your application in the nearest data center to you, so your application responds faster to you guys. And we also support something that I don't know any other cloud provider does, which is 100% customization of your environment if you have a dedicated plan. So if you need a specific package of software, a specific version of software, or anything set up to your demands, we can do that as long as you have a dedicated plan. So all you have to do is join our chat and tell our support guys that you need this situation. They will guide you through, and we can have practically anything, including firewall rules, specific firewall rules to match your clients and your needs. So we got you covered in every aspect that you need to operate. We also send push notifications for Android and iOS devices, and our push notification service is very, very reliable. We have a specific MQTT broker inside our stack that will handle these messages until they are delivered to the Apple or Google servers. So you can send millions of pushes completely free from us, and we still can handle this kind of volume. So this is pretty much what I had to show you for today. As I said, it's most a basic approach to show you part of what we do. We do so much more than this, but to get you started. And now let's jump into answering some questions, all right? Let me open my other window here. And let's find some questions. I see there are some already answered. So, Alison, you're saying something? Someone said something?
You to start checking the answered ones so you can comment and give more details about them, you know.
All right, so I got this first one question from Gus Oliveira. What are the advantages of using Backfire app over another tool such as Firebase? Well, we do have a few key advantages in my humble opinion. The first one is that we run in a 100% open stack. So all our code is open. You can download our stack yourself and run it from whatever place you need. So you can install it in your own servers and run it. And you, as long as your R code is open, you can see what does and trust it. Firebase, on the other hand, is a closed source service. So first, you're tied to it once you publish your app in there. And you never know what is really going on the back side of it. You can just store your data, call your functions in there, but in the end, you don't know what it's behind the scenes. And here in Backfire, you always know what's behind the scenes because all the code is open source. We are also much more competitive in pricing than Firebase, because one of the most common complaints that we have from users coming from Firebase to us is that once you get a paid plan in Firebase, it can get very expensive very fast, especially if your application scales fast. And here in Backfire, pricing is very predictable. We have a few price plans and that's it. So you can predict beforehand how much you're going to spend or how much you want to spend for your app to run, and it will stay inside that value. You won't end up having your application suspended or blocked like it happens in Firebase from time to time because you exceeded that price range. So these are a few of the key advantages that I see from Backfire for Firebase specifically. Let me see another one. How many apps can I run on dedicated plans? Well, we have a threshold of application numbers that you can run specifically for ensuring that your application will run fast. If we put too many applications inside a dedicated plan in the same machine, it will end up consuming too many resources and one application might impact the other ones. So we allow you to run a certain number of applications. I don't know on the top of my head exactly how many, but it's to ensure the fast response for all the applications running. If you need to run more, we can always help you achieve that as long as it keeps performing well. So, Alex Chervenkov, I'm building a Flutter app and you are the greatest source of information, but I cannot understand how to add push notifications and more specifically to send notification to a particular user. Can you please make a video or write an article or tell me a clue on how to do it? Well, Alex, we have a few tutorials. The approach for sending push notifications will depend on the platform that you're running. So if you're running, let's say, Android, there is a tutorial for that. If you're going to run it for iOS, there is another tutorial for that. It's here on the doc section in guides. Oops, guides. So let's say you're working with iOS. So all you have to do is click iOS, and in here we have sending push notifications. It will show a step-by-step that you have to accomplish in order to send your pushes for iOS. We do that for Android as well. So these are the documentations that we have written right now, but having a video about that really seems a good idea. Perhaps we can record one especially for you. Thank you for the question. Brian Odick. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm misspelling your names. I'm Brazilian, so I'm probably speaking with a Brazilian accent. But anyways, I'm trying my best. How can you increase the number of video tutorials? So few just now. Well, we're trying to publish one video every single day, especially on the Talk to the Architect section of our YouTube channel. But Brian, if you want a specific video, I always tell in the end of the videos, if you have suggestions, leave it on the comment sections. We always read and answer all the comments. And if it's a video that makes sense, we will produce it for you, because it's a mutual interest that we have users knowing how to use our platform. All right, so please leave it on the comments down below on any YouTube video, or if you want, you can even open a chat inside our website and suggest the videos that you want to see. We will produce that for you. All right, guys, any other questions that we have? Our website and suggest the videos that you want to see. We will produce that for you. All right, guys, any other questions that we have?
We have an answer tab, Alex, that you can check.
Our website. All right, let me check. Nicolas Estrada. Hello, I'm building a photo album collaboration service and I'd like to commit to using Backfire. but the pricing is a bit awkward for what I'd like to do with it. I'm not expecting a large number of requests, at least at first time, since I'm going to debut only to my family and friends at first, but I'm going to need a lot of storage. Is there an option for pay-as-you-go file storage and data transfer at a lower price tier, or at least temporarily in my early growing stage? So, Nicholas, our main plans and our free plans have quite enough storage space, API request numbers to run small to medium applications. So if you want to start developing, you can start with your family and friends. And I'm pretty sure it will be enough for this kind of situation, a free plan for you. If you need more than that, please get in touch with our chat. We will get you with our CFO. They can tailor plans for you guys with your specific needs. So all you have to do is pass to us exactly what you need. We will try to make a tailored plan that fits your needs and is still a very price competitive. So we do our best to achieve that as well. Then Brian Odick again. My biggest challenge with standing up a project on Backfire is that I worry about long-term sustainability. Also, it doesn't help that updates on product are few and far between. What's your sustainability model and how do you make your feature pipeline public visible? Well, we are a company running for a few years now, and we are a very lucrative company, so we can ensure the business side of Backfire works quite well. So you can rely assured that as long as this business pay itself up, will be here, and it does for the last years that we have been operational. So you can trust that as long as it is a profitable market. But anyways, one aspect that you might have in mind is that, as I said, we rely on a fully open source stack that you can download and run yourself. So if for any reason at any time we go out of business, you can still download the stack and run it yourself from wherever place you prefer. So this is another security aspect for you guys. We're not going anywhere soon, but anyways, it's still another security. Now about the updates on the product, we are, as a open source stack, we rely on the community to help building all our products. So we help developing the product itself. Our CEO Davi is one of the main developers of the SDKs and the product itself, and we still have the rest of the community with it. So if you want to see what's changing and how it's changing, all you have to do is go to GitHub and check the schedule and the ongoing process in there. And we do not have a public pipeline right now, but it's a very good suggestion. I'll let Davi knows about it. Perhaps we can do something about it as well. Brian Zaug, it seems like all tutorials for parse focus on usability right away, but at the expense of security. Can you suggest a tutorial that focuses on security first? That's a really good question, Brian. Here on the document section, if you scroll down, we have the advanced guide. Oh, I'm sorry, I think it's security in project. We have the security and privacy. We have the app security guidelines. And in here, you'll find everything that you need to know to get your app secured. But also you can go again to the Backfire dashboard and click the app status button. It will give you on the security tab a report showing everything that you must do to ensure your application is secure. All right. So all you have to do is to check these resources. I'm 100% sure that if you implement it the way it is described in there, your application will be secured from day one, right? Then Marcus Reimer, How does Backfire deals with the DOS attacks, or do I have to secure my app against DOS on my own? Marcos, this is another really good question. So our infrastructure is made to scale up automatically every time it senses the need to. And we did have a few DDoS attacks, especially in the beginning of the company, but our scaling up plan is so aggressive that we were able until today to defeat all DDoS attacks without much impact to our users. So as soon as our servers detect an increase in traffic, it starts scaling up as long as it needs to respond to those requests. And so far, we have been successfully able to keep our operation working in all kinds of DDoS that we try to do. So you don't have to do anything about that. But if you still want to have a second layer of security, you can also use NPM modules and Express.js routes to identify any kind of strange behavior in your traffic and responding accordingly yourself, right? Let me see what else we have. Vandeep Basra. Is there an easy way to duplicate an existing app? For example, I would like to development, staging, and production environments with all these ACLs interact, etc. Yes, we do. All you have to do is go into your app in here. Let me show you. Go to your dashboard. If you go to app settings and server settings, in here you find core settings. If you open that up, and scroll down, you see you can clone your app from here. This is very useful for those of you who need, for instance, as Vandeep said, have development, staging, and production environments, or perhaps if you have an app template that you want to sell to other users, all you have to do is clone app, give it a new name. So let's call it presentation copy. Choose the parts version that you're going to use. I'm going to use this one. Choose if you're going to clone the database as well. So if you're going to clone all the data inside the database or just the structure. So in this case, I'm going to clone the database and click clone. This will take a couple of minutes and it will generate a new copy containing all the aspects of your original. So you can have a development environment reflecting production or staging as well. So if you're having some kind of behavior on production and you want to investigate into the staging, all you have to do is clone the production. Here you go, it's done. If I go back to my apps, you see there that I have presentation copy in there. So if I go to the dashboard, here is my dog class with 2 records and my person class also with 2 records. So this is a very good way for you to reflect the behaviors that you're having in production. For instance, to staging, all you have to do is clone production to a new app and then test in that new app without affecting the production one. Right. Any other questions, guys? No, so that was pretty much what I had to show you for today, guys. I'm really, really happy that everyone showed up. Thank you so much for that. If you have any other questions or suggestions, you always know how to reach us from the chat on our website and on the YouTube channel, or you can leave a comment, or you can send me an email in alex@backfire.com as well. I always answer all the emails. And Alison, I'm going to pass the word for you so you can finish up the presentation.
Okay. I think there is a Sokel is making a question, right? A last question.
Where is it?
Question. Oh, I haven't found. So yeah. So let me open my...
If we missed any questions, please leave it to us on the chat or on my email or on the YouTube. We always answer all the questions, so feel free, guys, to contact us at any channel that you find useful to you. We will answer if we jumped any questions in here, okay?
Okay, I have a few words for you. I would like to say thank you to everybody who have joined in this webinar. We have collected some feedback from you so we can plan the next webinars according to your needs. We are a very customer-focused company, so please let us know what you guys need. Let us know what kind of content you want to see on YouTube, on webinars, so we can produce and make your life even better when using Backfire. I would like to invite all of you to join our community on Slack. The link is, I think that you can show, right, Alex, on the Slack community link on our website under support tab.
Support. Can you guys still see my screen? So if you scroll down, all you have to do is click this jump in button here, link here, and it will go to Slack and you'll be most welcome to our community.
Yeah, there's a Slack community. I would like to invite you guys to jump in, and many engineers from Backfire are over there talking to the users, and you can also find another users that are like using Backfire to power their applications. So yeah, thank you again, and have a great week, and see you on the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a great day. And thank you so much for joining. See you soon.
See you guys. Bye-bye.